Hello, welcome to my channel. Today, I want to be going through the basis of economics. Why do we need to study economics? Why is the study of economics very important? And to understand this, we'll be focusing on the concept of scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. Now, our learning intention is to explain the fundamental economic problem of scarcity, explain the need for individuals, firms, and government to make choices, define the meaning of opportunity cost, explain how opportunity cost results from the need to make choices, and we'll also explain the basic questions of resource allocation. Now, let's start with understanding what is the fundamental economic problem. That is, why do we need to study economics? Why is the study of economics very, very important? Now, the fundamental economic problem arises because resources. That is, when we say resources, we are talking about the factors of production, that is, the input we use in producing goods and services are scarce, or we say that they are limited or they are finite. It means that we do not have all the resources we want. We do not have all. For example, if I ask you, do you have all the money you want? No, we don't have all that we want. And that's why you see that everyone don't always have what they want. They don't have everything they want, because resources are scarce. They are limited in availability. Now, these resources are used in meeting people's needs and let's say wants, what people desires. So it's resources we use in meeting those desires of people. But these desires are unlimited. They are too numerous. So what that means is that you're using a limited means, that is a limited resources, to meet and to meet an unlimited desires. Desires are too much. And that's the reason why you see that if I ask you, oh, what do you want right now? You might start telling me, oh, I want a private jet. I want to vacation in the Bahama. You just want a whole lot. There's a whole lot. There's just a whole lot we always want. You understand? There is a lot we want. You might tell me, oh, I want the latest iPhone. There's just a lot I want branded clothes. Do you understand? We just want a lot. But where we now have the issue is where those wants, you do not have the resources to meet those wants. That vacation you want to go for, you actually need resources to be able to fulfill that desires of yours. So those are the problems. That is why we need to study economics. Those are the reasons why the study of economics is very, very important. Those are the reasons why we study economics. Because so every economist must understand this basic fact, that why, if I should ask you why is the study of economics important, the basic fact is that resources are scarce, they are limited. Why human wants are actually what? Unlimited. You understand? So there is a concept we need to address quickly, and that is need versus want. You see that I was very careful, and what I've been talking about is want, desires. Now, so in economics, we must understand that needs and wants are not the same. You can't use it interchangeably, they are different. Now, when we talk about wants are just desires. So it's not the same as wants. They are just what people actually desires, which are very numerous. Like I've explained, there are a lot of desires we want. You understand? We have a lot of desires. But when we say needs are those things that are important. They are very, very important. They are important than what? They are necessity. They are necessity. Things you can't really do without. You need to attend to. You understand? For example, every human needs are food, clothing, shelter. That's needs. So it means that no matter the level of income you are earning per time, these needs are things you cannot jeopardize. There are things you must just ensure you meet. You have to eat for survival. So needs are things you need for survival. But wants are things, yes. These are things that when you have it, it can improve your well-being, it can improve your life, but they are not things that they are what you are in dear need of. You can do away without it. You can do away with, you can still live, you can still be fine if you don't go on that vacation. Though it's a desire that it can actually help your productivity level, but there are things you can still do without. But needs are things you can't do without. There are things you can't do without. So needs are required for survival. You understand? Wants are desires. Though those desires also help us. It helps us to have good life, and all of that. But you can relatively still do without your wants. So that's the way you look at both concepts. Now, there are also key concepts we need to understand. I mentioned earlier on about resources. So in economics, when we talk about resources, we are talking about factors of production. That is what we refer to as resources in economics, factors of production, which are labor, land, enterprise, and capital. Those are the resources we have. Any resources we have in an economy, we can categorize it into these four factors of production. They are either capital, they are in either labor, land, or enterprise. Those are the resources. And I've also explained, I've been able to differentiate wants and needs. Wants, desires, needs, those necessities, things you need for survival. Now, in economics, when we talk about scarcity, we relate scarcity to resources. What is scarce? What is finite? What is limited, in availability is resources. So scarcity is related to what? To resources. And because of these resources are scarce, then we have to make choices. It therefore means that when you have avalanche of wants, things you want, you now need to like, okay, I need to make choices. I need to choose which one comes first. You understand? We say that you have to rank those ones. You have to rank them and look at the one that comes first. You rank them in their order of importance. That's concept of scale of preference. So it means that we now need to choose. You now need to say, okay, now I want to get a bag. I want to pay for my school fees. I want to eat. I want to do the. Now, okay, which one comes first? Which one is necessary? And which are so you now look at it and you look at it based on the resources you have at hand to meet up those to meet the needs, those needs that are more important. So that is choice. So choice, we have to choose from alternatives. We have to make choices because resources are scarce. So you see that the concept of scarcity and choice, they work hand in hand, because the fundamental economic problem, like we have established, that wants are unlimited. What you want, what I want are unlimited. If you start asking me my want now, I can spend hours telling you what I want. A lot I want. You understand? But the point is that our resources are scarce, so nobody would have all the wants. As such, relatively though, but nobody will have all. Let me say a good percentage, of people, across board, all over the world, globally, they won't always have all that they want. You understand? So, because resources are scarce, you don't have all the money in this world to actually what? To meet those want, to fulfill those desires. Now, this means a choice always has to be made between competing uses for resources. So even though not just individual, firms also need to make that choice. Firms would always, okay, we can't produce all. Which one should we produce more of? Which one should we produce less of? So choice will have to be made. Government also would have to make choices. All these economic agencies will have to make choices. They have to make choices. Government say, okay, which goods should we produce at this time? Do you understand? Which one would help improve, the welfare of people in an economy, and which one can we still do without? So there will always now this now leads us to the concept of opportunity cost. Each time choices are made, because when you make those choices, there is something you are foregoing to pick what you actually want to settle for. So we say therefore that opportunity cost is the next best alternative for gone. So that next best alternative. So we said that you are making choice out of alternatives. So let me give you an example. A quick one. Let's say, for example, you have money. Let's say you have $5, and you actually want to. You're hungry, and also you need a pair of shoes. I'm just giving you an example. Let's say you have $5, then it's only one of it you can get. I'm just giving an example. Now, let's say you can get the meal for $5. You can actually get um you can actually get the shoe for $5. Just giving an example. And there are other numerous things you could have actually used that $5 for. You understand? You can actually go and see a movie, other things. But the point is that the next best alternative in this scenario is actually the shoe. So what opportunity cost looks at is not all of the alternatives, all other things you could, but the next best alternative. That is what you could have used that resources to do, the next best. So you must understand that fact when we are explaining opportunity. So it is the next best alternative you are foregoing, and it's very important in economics for us to study the next best alternative, because it might be that you're making the wrong decision. It might be that where you would get more satisfaction is that next best alternative. So you must. So the reason why we study opportunity economics is that we want to note that what we're looking for is scarce resources to meet unlimited needs. So there must be efficient use of scarce resources, because we understand that resources are scarce. So anytime we are using resources, we must use it efficiently. That is why we now look at, okay, you are foregoing, you want to eat because you actually want to get a meal. That's why you are foregoing getting a shoe. But shoe is not the best decision to make, the best choice. So we'll now help individuals. Oh, hope this is not the best choice. Hope you are not foregoing the best choice. So that's what I'm putting for firms also. Okay, I'm now deciding to produce it. Oh, the goods you are foregoing is not actually the best choice for you. That is that product. If you produce it, you have more profit. You get the point? Because we must understand that if you are using that resources, it must be using it for what? For the need that is of utmost priority. So economists, you see that when it comes to economists does not believe in frivolities. We do not believe in frivolities as economists, because we understand that resources are scarce in nature. And that's why when you see Professor Lionel Sigobis, who we said that that's the acceptable definition, that gave the acceptable definition of economics amidst other definitions we have by Alfred Marshall, Adam Smith, and great economists. You see that what he said economy is study of human behavior, looking at the relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. So what he was able to do, he was able to identify these three concepts: scarcity of resources, wants, desires that are what? That are endless, and he said it has alternative forgone, which is opportunity cost. So it therefore means that the study of economics looks at these three important concepts: concept of scarcity, which is resources; concept of needs and wants; and concept of opportunity cost. They are all working hand in hand. So it's a social science that studies human behavior, you understand, which is looking at the relationship between ends and scarce needs, which has alternative use. That's a definition by Lionel C. Robbins, which captures what economics is all about. Now, this now leads us to understanding the fundamental economic problems. Then there's always three questions that arise from solving these economic problems. We now need to make decisions on what do we produce, how do we produce, and for whom should we produce. So these are the three fundamental economic problems that all economics are trying to look for answers to it. So is either we are looking for answers to what should we produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So when we say what to produce, we understand that because resources are scarce, we can't always produce everything per time. You can't produce everything. So we must now decide what should we produce and in what quantity. Do we have what it takes? Do we have the resources? You understand? Do we have resources in terms of labor, in terms of land, in terms of capital, enterprise? Do we have the resources to produce this? So it means that we now need to make choices on what should we produce. Now we'll now also move into the next question, that how do we produce? We have to consider how our resources are used. Don't forget, resources which are scarce, so they must be efficiently allocated to meet those needs. Do you get the point? So resources are used so that they achieve the best outcome. So we'll now use how to produce. We'll now look, okay, what is the best method do we use? How do we produce? How do we use our resources, our factors of production to give us the best outcome. What are the factors of production in our disposal? You get the point. What do we have? And how can we make best use of what is in our disposal? Then the last one is now for us to understand for whom to produce. Who are we producing this for? What is our target audience? So government have to now decide whether everyone is going to have a more or less share of what is produced, or whether some will have more than others. So who are we producing? Who will be beneficiary of what we are producing? And you see that we look at it in different ways. If government is producing public goods, okay, who are the beneficiaries? We don't want to exclude people, from this kind of work. Government will look into that. Okay, who are we producing? Also, if private firms are producing, okay, who have the capacity to actually purchase these goods? What are people's purchasing power? We used to decide who are we producing for. So these three questions are very fundamental in answering, or in I'm looking for solutions how we can solve these fundamental economic problems. And that is what economics is all about. That's what it is all about. That's the basics. So every theory we will be looking into, every concept of economics is to the end to solve these problems, to solve the problems of using scarce resources to meet what? Unlimited wants. So look at it. The scarcity of resources and wants are what? Are unlimited. We have a lot of wants. I hope I've been able to help you to understand why we have to study economics. And I believe if this is your first time of actually coming into learning economics, this video would actually have helped you to understand the basic concept. Every student of economics at what level, or you're trying to understand the concept, it would really help you to understand what we are really studying. What is all this theory about? What is all this all about? It's all about using scarce resources to meet what? Unlimited resources, or unlimited wants. So I believe this video has really helped you. And please, to actually encourage me to do more of this video explaining economic concepts and different topics, I would actually plead that you kindly follow this YouTube channel. One thing I can promise you is that I would actually ensure economics becomes something that you see in your everyday of life, because that's what economics is all about. Economics is what we do. Everyone is an economist. The moment you are a rational thinker, you are an economist. We are all economists. So I would make it something you can see, you can feel, something you can touch, something you can participate with in your everyday of life. Economics is not just theory. And reason why students feels as if it's something difficult is because they see that theory, but it's what we actually do every day. We use economic concepts every day of our lives. Every day of our life. The moment you are making choice, it's economics. Do you understand? So these are what I actually want to help you to see, that you can appreciate economics, and you can actually have good grades in exams you are actually preparing for, particularly A-levels exams, IGCSE, and other exam bodies like EdExcel, AQ. So please kindly follow my YouTube channel for more of this. Thank you very much. If you have any question, you can put it in the comment section below. Thank you.